My cut is finally over, so starting now, the frequent posting schedule resumes. Thank you so much for your patience, encouragement, and badass DBZ comparisons. Those made my days, especially towards the end. So I'll be discussing the entire journey soon, how I effortlessly lost all the weight on a 100% plant-based diet and ended up beating last year's physique. Stay tuned. But before we get started with this Q&A, a very special announcement to make. Talk about timing. Everything is coming together. As you know, I've been buying Bells of Steel products for years and was officially sponsored in 2022. Since then, my home gym has expanded and become the perfect environment for gains and filming. From the power rack, specialty bars, belt squat machine, and many accessories to having the opportunity to meet you guys in Ohio at the Arnold Sports Festival, I am eternally grateful for everything. And now, I've been blessed yet again. After many months of hard work, Bells of Steel and I have collaborated on my official barbell, the Leonidas Onyx Bar. This is not just a generic barbell. I requested very specific features. I was sent a tester bar initially so that I can improve upon it, and I specified that I wanted the most aggressive knurling imaginable. Zero whip, jet black Cerakote coating for rust resistance, 29mm bar diameter for the ideal grip, with thinner IPF style colors and ribbed gold titanized sleeves for the ultimate stability, badass aesthetics, and indestructible longevity. The goal was to surpass my previous Westside bar. And guess what? Bells of Steel did just that. It's exactly what I always desired in a barbell. For the observant ones, this bar got me through Kratos Mode to Shredded. All my recent PRs were hit with it. The best part? For this level of quality, it's less expensive than the competition and includes a free custom-made barbell-only program by yours truly and a collab gym flag so you can represent our noble community. The overall value is unbeatable. All you'll need is an adjustable bench and rack, as the template is oddly unique. So check it out today, and thank you all for supporting me in Bells of Steel. Otherwise, this would have never been possible. Now you can feel what I feel when training. This barbell connects us, and I promise you'll be blown away by the quality. So the link is in the description box. It's time to get some legendary warrior gains. And with that said, I've kept you waiting long enough. Let's come back strong by answering your questions. If you have any, ask away in the comments section, and the most liked ones will be answered next time. First question, hey Alex, why do you bulk when you lose all your strength during a cut? We don't lose all of our strength. We just get noticeably weaker, particularly on weight-dependent compounds like bench presses and squats. However, we're still stronger than our previous cuts. So we bulk for optimal recovery and to maximize every ounce of muscle gain possible, as minuscule as it may be. It's how I've always made my best gains. And it's what 9 out of 10 natties do until they reach a point where the weight gain does not justify the long cutting. At this stage, they may settle on maintenance or a calculated minor surplus, playing within a small weight range, let's say 15 pounds, so they can compete without lengthy preps. Recent data also supports this approach, especially considering the age factor. So if you start lifting in your late teens, early 20s, by the time you're in your 30s, you put in over a decade of hard training, getting 90% of your potential muscle mass. And so fattening up for an extra half pound of muscle, then slowly cutting to keep it, isn't worth it. And it's risky, including for health. Yo-yo dieting is a young man's game. This is why seasoned natural bodybuilders stop with the heavy bulks and cuts. But they still paid their dues. So we eventually hit that level, and I'm probably there right now. So it's gonna be very challenging to put on muscle moving forward. With a perfect approach, I'm lucky to gain 2 pounds of lean tissue, which I actually did during this recent bulk. Higher weight, same shredded body fat, you see it. But one must ask, how did I achieve this? It goes back to your question, through trusting the bulk. Although I did get weaker, I'm still stronger than the last time I weighed this. I can bench 3 plates at maybe 7% body fat. I can still dip 5 plates and hit 4 plate weighted chins on any day. Isolation strength hasn't been significantly affected either, and it shows. So even though many of my 5 to 10 rep PRs became 1 rep maxes, years ago, while heavier with higher body fat, I could not budge those same numbers. This is how you get strong through caloric restriction, by retaining many of your gains from your bulk. Of course, you'll 100% get weaker. It's unavoidable, and that sucks. But a lot of that is also negative side effects of being in a deficit for too long, not to mention being fully depleted. See, what happens when you bump up the calories to maintenance and add an extra 200 grams or so of carbohydrates? The energy and fullness instantly comes back. So now those 1 rep maxes become 3 rep maxes. This can happen within a week or two, and I personally experienced this last year. It was like newbie gains all over again. Every workout adding 1 to 2 reps on a 315 flat bench, something that could take advanced lifters months to achieve. Yet I was coming out of death mode, so the body has an amazing way of rebounding back. This is why you should not be concerned about the strength loss during cutting, because strength is the first thing to return. That's why I embrace the good and bad aspects of bulking and cutting. The net physique balance, which includes strength and lean tissue, is objectively higher, as proven by years of my documentation. Cutting allows you to compare measurements at the same body fat levels. Just to say, last year my arms were 15.5 inches shredded. Now they're 16 inches shredded. That's a massive improvement, proving that my arm training during my bulk worked. In fact, out of all my muscles, my biceps and triceps improved the most. And I don't think they'd be as big if I hadn't been willing to put on that weight, because at peak bulk, they were 17.25 inches cold. So I did lose muscle, but the trade-off was worth it in the end. And that's why I default to bulking. I'm addicted to the real gains. Nothing is in my head that I just look better. The stats prove it. And I have the discipline to lose weight at any time, embracing the suck. So when you see my best physique yet, know what did it. Being in bear mode for years. That's the foolproof way of becoming an elite natty. It works every time unless you just don't know how to diet. Hey Alex, what are your thoughts on Kinobody's training philosophy? Overall, I like his training philosophy. He focuses on time-proven compound movements like barbell and dumbbell bench presses, overhead presses, weighted chins, and weighted dips, without wasting time on unnecessary volume. He follows reverse pyramid training, which is simple back-off sets. You can never go wrong with that, making it easy to track PRs. He emphasizes what truly matters, getting stronger, having long-term strength standards, and aiming for a specific aesthetic physique, which he calls the Hollywood look. Having a V-taper instead of the now common X-taper, which we both agree doesn't look right. That said, legs are not neglected, just emphasized differently. Instead of barbell squats and deadlifts, he focuses on unilateral exercises like Bulgarian split squats, pistol squats, Nordic curls, vertical jump training, etc., resulting in powerful athletic legs that aren't too massive but are still balanced. That used to be my philosophy as well. It's honest and sustainable. I also appreciate his emphasis on training twice a week for optimal recovery and maintaining a life outside of the gym, as I built a lot of my physique with full body workouts twice a week. So I guess my main nitpick of Kinobody is his idea of being shredded. I must say, he's not 6% body fat, even though the DEXA scans indicate that. I know, because competition-ready body fat is something I haven't seen him hit. He's close, maybe 6 to 10 weeks out, but as of now, there's not enough striations, vascularity, and separation in the back or arms, which is fine, and I think that is preferable for health and aesthetics, but we're talking about 10 to 12% body fat here. Not single digit, or if it is, it's max 9%, certainly not the lower levels. Although, I believe that in recent years, he's moved away from using the term shredded and instead says lean, chiseled physique, which I can roll with. And on a related note, I also disagree that he hit his natural limit at 25. This is a self-imposed limit due to staying too lean for too many years. Had he bulked like the rest of us, I promise you he would have put on another 5 pounds of muscle. He does have the potential to bench 405. He's actually stronger than most of the noble natties, being an OG himself. Although his legs have massive room for improvement. That's also an artificial cap. He can at least squat 500 and deadlift 600 if he trained for it. But understand, that's not his goal. So overall, from a bodybuilding perspective, I'd say he can gain another 10 pounds of lean tissue in the next decade if he's willing to. And we're talking about milking every ounce of gains imaginable. So I do believe he's 100% natural. I never doubted that. And I've been following Greg since I was a teenager. We go way back. And I think his training advice has done a lot of good in the lifting world. And you may notice that our training philosophy overlaps quite a bit. So you won't go wrong with following his training methods. I love the combination of free weights and calisthenics with athletics. That's what fitness should be about, not being a hypertrophy-only, bloated bodybuilder who is not healthy and can't do anything with his physique. Do you plan on continuing this fitness journey and going into your 50s and 60s and even beyond that, as well as the channel? I'm just curious. I don't plan on ever stopping. I've been at this for over a decade and I look forward to many more. I will be a jacked old man putting youngsters to shame. I can promise you that, unless some catastrophe hits me. Fingers crossed. This is why I pay so much attention to overuse and intricate programming. Without a long-term vision, all this is for nothing. I refuse to be that guy who used to lift. I never want to live in the past or reminisce about the good old days. Every year needs to be better. There must be improvement in some aspect of my lifting journey. Although muscle gains will be slow, there's potential cardio gains, embracing a hybrid athlete approach, improving specific weaknesses, competing, refining my exercise selection, volume, splits, etc. for even better recovery and progression. Even if it doesn't benefit me as much, I know that my experimentation and constant learning will keep the passion high and ultimately help you. So there needs to be a reciprocal relationship where we're helping each other as the community grows. This way, we avoid crucial mistakes and do better than the silver era. We revive natural bodybuilding and live long, healthy lives, embracing real fitness, not the superficial fast route. This extends to my YouTube channel. I've slowly built my way up to a large following, and I don't care how much longer it takes to double or triple my audience. As long as I'm helping the serious ones and delivering the correct message to the best of my abilities, not contradicting my values or settling, I'm a very happy man. Social media will change, and I have no idea what to expect with this newer generation of lifters. But I'm here for them too. We were all at that point once upon a time, and we're the ones who can relate to them the most, having made all the mistakes. So if we can speed up their progress just a little bit, or lessen the headaches by showing them a better way from day one, we're gonna end up with the freakiest generation of natties ever. And I can't wait to see that. I and many others are not the pinnacle, but those who listen to our advice will undoubtedly surpass us in a fraction of the time. I wish there were guys like us when we first started. I probably would have had this physique 5 years ago, as crazy as that may sound. So yes, expect to see me here for a long time, at least till I'm 40, okay? Heck, I might even start another YouTube channel on the side where I discuss other topics, not just fitness. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, like gaming, lifestyle, cameras, reviews, etc. In your back pain video, you said you were sleeping on the ground. Are you still doing it? I started and love it. No, I haven't slept on the floor in years, but I do plan on getting a Japanese futon bed, or if a company can sponsor me. Wink, wink. Since firm is superior and my current mattress is hard, I will never go back to sleeping on a soft bed. That said, what really cured my back pain was paying attention to axial loaded blending and making my spinal erectors one of my strongest body parts. The exercise I credit the most for this is the good morning. I reintroduced it in 2019 and never looked back. My erectors are like Greek pillars. They're so thick in 3D that you can see them through a t-shirt. And I get compliments all the time. I went from 95-pound good mornings to 325 for sets of 10, which is madness. Most lifters can't even squat that. After that, I started doing ATG good mornings, bringing my chest to my knees. Not to mention doing deficit rows, so there's always a flexion component, and I'm loading my back every time I train legs. Now, I did go through a brief machine phase last year with hack squats and leg presses, but due to the faulty design of those machines, my knees started hurting for the first time in forever. So I ditched what was optimal on paper and went back to what got me 27-inch legs in the first place. Heavy ass barbell squats and belt squats. But the hip hinges never left. I do good mornings every week. And when I'm training for strength, I also do a lot of volume on reverse hyperextensions to pump fluid into the discs. Please see this video for a full breakdown. Lastly, I rarely pull from the floor as I have a bencher's build, which kills my recovery. So I do below the knee rack pulls about 2 inches above the ground, RDLs, or stiff-legged deadlifts if I want to reduce the load and maintain a similar movement pattern, which has allowed me to generate elite numbers without injuring my back or beating me up. So considering stimulus to fatigue on hip hinges is the biggest game changer. Hey Alex, I've got a few questions. 1. How do I add more variation to dips without chains? Is alternating between touch and go and pause in the stretch a good way? 2. Due to my cable length, I can only do dual row pushdowns in a kneeling position. Is it fine to do it this way, or should I buy a shorter cable? Yes, those are the best dips you can do. Touch and go, paused, and tempo work. Additionally, you can use bands on your dip bars, wear a slingshot to reduce shoulder overuse, or perform dead stop repetition using a longer chain. And don't forget about ring dips. If you have a pull-up bar, you should take advantage for the converging pec benefits and building long-term stability while reducing load, which optimizes recovery. Now, with fewer variations, you'll need to wave your percentages a bit more, opting for longer training cycles. Do not rotate exercises every 1 to 3 weeks. It should probably be every 1 to 3 months, with fatigue management and reps in reserve becoming more important. Regarding cable length, this is generally a problem with dual ropes, whether you're at the gym or home. Unless the cable is set very high, the longer attachment will either force you to stand further back, making it more short and biased, or get on your knees to maintain the vertical direction of resistance. Personally, I get into a low staggered stance, basically a lunge position for the best stability. You can also try using a shorter loading pin like 12 inches or smaller carabiners, or even doing one arm pushdowns for the same long head alignment benefits but without range of motion obstruction. This way you can actually grab the rack while being close. These are your best options before buying another set of cables. Do you recommend any particular exercises to reduce golfer's elbow? Besides high rep band pushdowns and curls, the best way to avoid golfer's elbow is by choosing exercises that don't misalign you. Dumbbells, cables, and unilateral stuff typically beats barbells when it comes down to elbow health. The same goes for calisthenics. If you can't do straight bar chins, 9 out of 10 times ring chins will instantly cure all pain due to the rotation factor, eliminating all lateral forces. So my criteria for exercise selection depends on how wide you are for the implement, how strong you are, or if you're using sideboard precision technique, as even restrictive exercises can be done pain-free if you drop your ego. For example, heavy skull crushers might not be sustainable in the long term, but 95 pounds or less with a slow tempo and not flailing the elbows likely is. The same goes for barbell curls. Cheap curls can certainly mess you up, but not strict curls where you're not swinging or flapping like a chicken. The warm-up also makes a difference. If you're ending with barbell curls or extensions after having done squeeze-based exercises like high rep pushdowns or cable curls, good chance you won't have pain. Lastly, if overuse creeps up on you, just rotate the damn exercise. Even if the gains are comparable or slightly less, the joint angle stress won't be. So that goes a long way instead of just prescribing the best variation. Sometimes the best is not the best when it's beating you up. Just saying. How do you improve your bodyweight pull-up numbers if you are still on 3 pull-ups? Great news! If you could do at least 1 pull-up, prepare for fast progress. Every rep recruits the high threshold motor units, giving you the highest strength stimulus and specific skill for grinding. A 3 rep max is like 90%, which is perfect for getting a lot of sets in. So my advice, do as many sets of 1 as you can tolerate, like 5 sets of 1, resting 3 to 5 minutes between sets. Then follow it up with assisted pull-ups of 4 to 6 reps for volume work. Do this twice a week, split 72 hours between sessions. Also, include greasing the groove pull-ups if possible. Whenever you feel like it, hit some pull-ups, not to failure, then go back to whatever you were doing. It could be 1 pull-up every hour for the next 10 hours. Do that every day for a month and watch how fast your numbers climb. Once you are in a reasonable rep range, you can drop this completely and simply perform regular sets and reps on workout days. So in reality, getting your first pull-up was the hardest journey, but adding +1s is magnitude levels easier. No exaggeration, you are so lucky to be able to do 3 reps. Lastly, you can always try losing some body weight. Maybe you're just too heavy and therefore stronger than you realize on a pound for pound basis. How strong should you be before subbing in Larsen press or camber bar as a movement? I would say you should at least be a late novice or early intermediate. The reason I don't advocate starting sooner is that the fatigue generated from normal benching is already so low that you don't need to limit the load. What will be the benefit? You'll lack coordination and the ability to recruit high threshold motor units, which is part of why you can recover so well in the early stages of lifting. You should take all the time to perfect normal bench press. Once you could put on some real effort into it and the plateaus start to kick in, which might take a year or more, then you could play around with harder variations like the Larsen press and camber bar bench. By then, you'll be stable and lifting around 185, which is a fine range to build from. So if you can't bench 2 plates yet, it's already hard enough. Not embracing your beginner status and training like an advanced lifter would likely cause fewer gains. Stop trying to get more out of less weight by Larsen pressing 135. You are not going to build a big chest doing that. You're just running away from your weak pressing strength and then trying to justify it. Earn that right. You're not fooling anyone but yourself. Triceps getting stronger and long head isolation but barely change. Always having that long lanky look despite having 17-inch arms, fairly lean. Well, if you have long lanky arms, then 17 inches is not going to cut it. That measurement is big on a shorter lifter like myself, but for Titan lifters, you'll need at least 18s. Like I've seen some natural 6'5" guys with 19-inch arms. Yes, you can get there because you have more real estate for growth. We can't just look at the absolute measurement without comparing it to our frames. The bottom line is that height is by far the most important factor in determining arm size potential and how impressive a given measurement will appear. Also, understand that the 17-inch mark, gains slow down exponentially even if you're getting stronger. It can take a long time to get past that. Like I only put on 1/4 of an inch in an entire year, and that was with bulking. So being lean, I wouldn't expect that from you. It can take longer than you realize to hit 18 inches, even if you have the potential. So what you need to do is get significantly stronger, not just on long head exercises, but on presses as well, and gain some weight. You also need to work on your biceps because that will help your flexed measurement. Maybe your triceps are A tier, but your biceps are C tier. A lot of powerlifters have that problem. Being able to close grip bench 315 for reps, yet barely curling 40-pound dumbbells or barbell curling 95 pounds. I wish I was exaggerating, but I promise you that I'm not. And this could be you. So please go hard on curls, chin-ups, extensions, dips, the works, and recognize that arms generally don't grow quickly. And you likely won't put on a whole inch without also getting noticeably bigger in other areas. They generally scale that way. Last question, can I program RDLs in a back day? Of course. The reason is that you're hitting the spinal rectors and traps, which contribute to having a thick back. Now there's 2 ways to program. 1, you open your back day with an RDL, which primes the nervous system and warms up the entire back. This makes bent over rows feel way easier later. And 2, you can finish with RDLs, Dorian Yates style. The upper back is pre-fatigued from previous work, leaving proportionally fewer reps in reserve on RDLs, despite being a lower body movement. And since you lift less at the end, you don't risk overly fatiguing the lower back muscles. You could also consider structuring it as a density day. This means your hip hinges can be done on back day, while your leg day would focus more on the quads and possibly include good mornings instead. This allows you to efficiently work both muscle groups in the same week without overloading the leg training frequency or doing full body workouts. This approach is unique, and I've been training like this recently, including with my man Phil from PG Coaching. While the RDL is a posterior chain builder, its weighted stretching benefits on the upper back and carryover to bent over rows makes it a viable option for back days, similar to rack pulls. So it's important to consider how exercises affect each other. And in this case, RDLs reign supreme. It doesn't have to be a pure back exercise in order to be highly effective. And there you have it, guys, another Q&A wrapped up. If you got any more questions, please post them down below, and I will do my best to help you out in the next one.